Hi folks, welcome to the preparedhomestead.com. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. Well, here in the Ozarks, it is a quiet morning on the 1st of January, but around the world, it is not so much the case. A lot of things have been going on just in the last 24 hours that, like I've said for the last few days, 2024 is coming in with a bang. There was a major earthquake off the coast of Japan, and there's a lot of tsunami warnings out. It does look like that some heavy, strong waves have hit the coast of Japan, but I don't believe that they're still out of the clear at this point. But a pretty major earthquake, 7.4, 7.6, something like that. And then remember that just yesterday there was a X5 solar flare up on the sun, X5. Now, it looks like that we're just going to get a glancing blow tomorrow afternoon from that because of the angle where it was at. But this week could be interesting with that, because the sunspots that are coming around that X5 came from could produce more intense flares, and it'll be facing us here in just a day or two. So keep your eyes on that one. Vladimir Putin said yesterday that they will, in fact, start intensifying their attacks on Ukraine. I suspect it's because they smell blood. Whether it's all part of a big orchestrated plan that everybody's in on or not, I'd say Russia realizes that the money's drying up from us and from most of NATO. And it does appear that NATO has unofficially just, decided that Ukraine's going to fall and that they're going to fight Russia. That's what everything is being talked about, so to speak. So I think Russia sees that there's an opportunity there, and they're going to take it and intensify what's going on in Ukraine. North Korea's always talking about war and destroying somebody, but in the last several days, their rhetoric has very much intensified. And Kim Jong-un issued an order to the military that at the first sign of attack from North Korea to completely destroy it. So that's definitely an escalation in talk on that. 2024 is coming in today, okay, in case you're just now waking up. So it's going to be a fun-filled year, folks. And I think that as cliche as it is, we should set goals. It should be a moment for us to kind of regroup and reestablish, our goals and what we're trying to accomplish, our objectives, and realize the areas that we've been weak on or failed on or should have put more effort into. I think it's pretty clear, and most people are in agreement of this, that it's going to be probably a rough and choppy year. Could be the year, in fact, for everything to just fall apart. So you need to be getting your things going and getting ready. Number one thing, and I know I say this all the time, and I absolutely am a broken record on this subject, but I'm a broken record on this subject because it's so important. You need to be getting your food in order. I've said it just for the last few days, and I'm going to repeat it again. You need to make sure you have food. 3 to 6 months food supply is an absolute minimum that you should have. Really, it should be 1 to 3 years food supply. But if you can hit that 3 to 6 months, you're doing better than most. Right now, you can go to my link below with My Patriot Supply. They have 1 month's food supply for one person for under $100. It's like $87. So you can get, not a month. You can get a 2 weeks. Sorry. So you can get a whole month for under $200. You can get 1 week for about $87, and you can get a whole month for about $190 or so. I know I completely butchered that promo, but go to the link below, and they've got some really good sales going on. Canned food, dry food, beans, rice, pastas. Don't forget your seasonings. You're going to want to season your food because you're going to get tired of it if you have to live off of your preps. Salt is very important, has a lot of other uses other than just flavoring your food. So get you some good mineral salt, whether it's Celtic salt, Himalayan salt, Real Salt brand. That's what we use. Get a good quality salt and have enough of it. Salt isn't terribly expensive. You can put away 50 pounds for not too much money. And so make sure you have some good salt, some good seasoning. Look at your oils. You're going to need oils to cook with. I would stay away from seed oils. They're just toxic. They're not good for you. They're not healthy. You know, all your vegetable and seed oils really are just, they're chemicals is really what they are. We stick with things like coconut oil for the non-meat oils, and then for the animal oils, we typically stick with beef tallow. Beef tallow is something that can last quite a while, and it has a lot of uses. And depending on what kind that you get, how refined it is, sometimes it has a little bit of flavor and other times it does not. We usually have both around. So make sure you have that kind of stuff in store, because food is going to be big. You got to have food to survive. Same way with water. Got to have water. Make sure you have so much water on supply. I would have it best, or at least 10 to 15 gallons per person in your household, food that's just water that's just sitting around, water that's just stored away. But you also need to have a water source. You know, you have a source like this, or a pond, or some kind of source that you can go get water. Now, if you have a well, that's a good thing, but then you need to have a way to get that water up out of the ground. If your only water source is some municipal source that comes through the pipes, that's not good enough. So you need to figure out, well, maybe it's rain collection. Maybe it's an above ground pool that you have. Whatever it is, have a water source, and then of course have a way to purify, sanitize that water, because it's going to get nasty if everything really starts falling apart. This creek won't look like this. It may look like something out of India or something. Well, probably not this one, but a lot of waterways will turn that way. Your medicines, make sure you got your medicines squared away. You know, over-the-counter medications, antibiotics, there are ways to get those legally without going to a doctor. So research those and make sure you have them set aside. Your personal health, and that's so many preppers neglect their personal health. You may have all kinds of cool equipment, but if you're not physically able to use that equipment, then that's a problem. Most of you should be able to put a 35-pound pack on and walk 10 miles. If you can't do that, you need to at least build up. That should be like a minimum standard. I am not a picture of perfect health, but I have improved my health greatly over the last year or two. You need to get out there and move. Again, you may have the knowledge and the equipment and all the preps, but if you physically can't do the things that's need to be done to survive, then you're not going to make it. And I assure you, when things fall apart, you're going to be more physically active. You're going to have to be more physically active to survive than just sitting right now watching TV or YouTube videos. So make sure you get out there and push yourself every day. It doesn't matter how old you are, doesn't matter how out of shape you are. Just about everyone, and I mean that, just about everyone next to the folks that are unfortunately bedridden can improve their health some way. You know, even if you're sitting in a wheelchair, I've said this before, maybe your legs don't work and you sit in a wheelchair and you say, I can't go walking because my legs don't work. Can you sit there and do some upper body stuff? Can you do things to improve your health in that way? But get your health improved, taking the right supplements, eating the right foods, get off of the junk, the chemicals, the GMOs, the seed oils, the processed sugars. Start cutting that out. I'm not trying to be some, you know, hoity-toity goody two-shoe when it comes to food, but folks, I have grown over the years to come to the belief that the vast majority of the foods that are out there in the market today are purposely put out there as a way to manipulate and control us. They purposely put these unhealthy foods out there that the vast majority of Americans are addicted to. All of the chemicals and the sugars and the oils and everything else to weaken us and to bring our health down. Break that bond, break those shackles, stop eating that junk, eat good whole foods, stuff that God created for us, plenty of meats and good healthy animal-based fats, and cut all the other junk out, because it's just what's weakening us. Have a plan, folks. Have a plan. Your plan can be put down on paper. If you do put something down on paper, I would make sure it's very secure, in a place that it's just not readily available. In fact, you could do it in a way that part of if you have a plan written down, that part of it is in one location, part of it is in another location. If you don't write it down, keep it good in your head, and you and your spouse go over it, and your family revisit that on a regular basis. I would be revisiting it on a more regular basis now than you would have a year or two ago. Be checking your equipment, checking your preps, going over evacuation plans, going over medical plans, teaching your children, even if they're young, they can set a bone, they can put a tourniquet on. Um, my children, and we have the youngest that we have at home are 10-year-old twins. They have their own IFAKs and they know how to use them. They've trained to know how to use them. They can put a tourniquet on and they can stop the bleed at 10 years old. And I'm sure that a younger child could do it also. They also know how to defend themselves with tools, defensive tools. So get out there and practice and get that stuff squared away because it's going to be really important that everyone in the family is on the same page. Have evacuation plans and regrouping plans. If your husband, wife, or older child works away from home, have a plan to get home, know where the route that they're coming, all that kind of stuff. If you shop at a certain place, kind of be consistent and have a plan to get home and let others know in your family. If something happens while you're away shopping, doing the grocery shopping, how you would get home. Have all this squared away. Communications, which this is part of communications, is paramount. Handheld radios typically can reach a mile, maybe 2 miles, depending on the terrain. Everyone in the family should have them and know how to use them. You should have other forms of radio communication, long range stuff, scanners. Even if you don't have all the proper licenses, you can at least have the equipment and listen. So you need to have that kind of stuff squared away because that's important too. And then there's a lot of things. I'm not going to hit everything this time. Obviously, there's defense. You need to be concealed carrying, and then knowing how to use it. Knowing how to use it, not just shooting at a paper target. That's a personal pet peeve of mine. Is you see all these people that they can do really good at standing there and shooting at a paper target at 10 yards, 15, 20, 25 yards, and that's great. But how well do you do when you're shooting and you're moving and you're running and moving and ducking behind things? Because in a real firefight, that's what's going to happen. You're not going to stand. If you stand there, I don't care how good of a shot you are, you're going to get shot. So you need to get out there and do some real world training and carry your choice of tool on you at all times and know how to use it, but also carry things like an IFAK with you, flashlight, other tools with you so that you are prepared. Keep a good kit in your vehicle. This doesn't necessarily a bug out type of a kit, but it all works pretty much the same way. We keep a good get home bag in our vehicle. If something happens while we're out and away, we've got blankets and equipment and water, things that we need to get us home. Because those kind of things happen, and we keep abreast of what's going on in the world, and make kind of moment by moment decisions if necessary. If there's some great threat that's out there that seems like it could potentially be imminent, we may not go out as much for the 24-hour period or something, just to be safe. I don't think that's too extreme to do, because in today's world with all the stuff going on, stuff can happen very, very rapidly. Last thing I want to remember to talk about is something that I talk about all the time, and I know, again, some of you get very tired of it, is building relationships with those around you, your community, your tribe, your mag, and then the layers outside of that. When I speak of tribe, mag, your inner community, those are the people that are close to you, the ride or die kind of people, the people that you're going to, live out the end of the apocalypse with, kind of thing. But then you have layers outside that. You have your neighbors that but they're not part of your tribe. You have the people in your community. Maybe it's the local mechanic, or carpenter, or the guy that does welding, or whatever, that you have a pretty good relationship with them, the owner of the feed store, that kind of stuff. And so start working on making sure those relationships are really good. And the ones that seem to be open to the talk, have conversations with them. There are businesses around here that I have had conversations with of, what would you do if the dollar collapsed? Like, would you just close up shop, or would you be willing to use alternative currencies? What about gold and silver, things like that? I've had those conversations with businesses around, and you'd be surprised how many businesses have told me, well, as long as I can get stuff in, absolutely, I'd take gold and silver, if the dollar becomes worthless. So start having these conversations within your close community, but then outside of that in the layers, because you need to start figuring out who you can go to, who you can trust, who is most likely going to work with you. Because as this year starts rolling through, it may come to a point sooner than you think that these kind of plans have to be put into activation. Folks, you need to be getting your houses in order, taking things seriously, and I strongly advise you to start doing that right now. And for those of you that already have, to escalate your preparations, to intensify your preparations. This is the year that could be the one that we see some pretty major events happening that could really cause a lot of turmoil in our lives. So get your houses in order, prepare yourselves mentally, physically, and spiritually. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.